So far, in our project, all the materials we have work with solid colors, and that is fine for some materials, but what if we want a specific color? Then we need to use a pre-made texture, or in some cases, paint our own. We will see how to do that in this episode. Let's select the cupcake model, and just to make it easier, I'm going to isolate it with the backslash button. To exit isolation mode, use the same button. Now give it a new material and add a bitmap image, along with UV coordinate nodes. These are pretty important and you want them always when creating materials with textures. I'll load in this texture I've prepared earlier, but how do you put something that is 2D onto a 3D object, especially one with a complex shape? This is where UV unwrapping comes to play. This is the process of figuring out where to cut your model, so that it unfolds into a few planar pieces. And to do that, let's go into edit mode and start selecting edges. The cupcake is basically a cylinder. We need to separate the top and bottom caps by making a seam. To see what we're doing, let's change the node editor to be the UV editor. Then, select all the geometry we have in edit mode by hitting A and then press U for unwrap, and from the menu select unwrap. And to see the texture, just make sure from the viewport settings to set the display to texture instead of the default flat color. Okay, so the top and bottom caps look great, but the side of the cupcake is all messed up. To fix that, we need to add more cuts. Right now, it is like a closed loop, but we want it to unfold flat. So the last seam should make sure we cut the loop all the way through. And now, once we hit unwrap, we get 3 neatly unfolded pieces. Don't worry if you don't get this right the first time, UV unwrapping takes some time to get used to. From here, we can either select the UV islands, or if we switch back to the node editor, tweak the scaling of the texture mapping node. We can add another texture, a black and white edited version of the color texture, and plug it into the bump slot of the cupcake material, then adjust the distance. This effectively tells how deep the grooves from the bump texture are going to appear. Lower values make for a more subtle effect, and don't worry, sometimes you need to go very low for the material to look right. To summarize, we added an image texture to our material and figure out how to project it onto the 3D object. In the next episode, we will see how to add another level of realism to our models. Also, if you have skipped some of the previous steps but wish to follow along from here, you can get all the project files for this tutorial series from the link in the description below. I will also be adding some bonus videos in there if anyone wants to speed up their learning process. Subscribe for more tutorials and see you in the next episode.